Good morning, everybody. Oh, wow. Haha. So I was just doing the dishes because I thought I'd quickly do the dishes. And I set the alarm for 4 minutes to 8. And then somehow it just happens that sometimes when we set the alarm and then we keep working for a little bit, things go a little bit over time, but not that much. So that's okay. And Curves with Purpose, thank you for the love heart. It is great to see you. And also, Preeti has sent a love heart. So thank you to everybody for those. And I hope everybody is well. So, yes, I am feeling really amazing today. So, I had a big shift, which was a lot of fun. So, I thought I'd quickly share that and let you know that I listened to an amazing audio and remind me, and I will put that one into the YouTube link. So if you are keen, then have a look for, let me see, the YouTube link should be Business Team 6 as well. No, Free Flow Menno. Let me double check. It's actually going to be on my phone here. And then we'll get into the reading, but I want to be able to share that. So I'm going to quickly see if I can find that link for you so that you know where to find us. Here we go. So that is going to be, let's have a look. The Passive Cashflow Club. There we go. The Passive Cashflow Club. So if you do a search for the Passive Cashflow Club, that is where the replay is going to be. And that one will allow you, I've got so many YouTube channels. So the Passive Cashflow Club is where we publish these. And nice to meet you, everybody. And yay, and lots of really interesting comments. And I must be able to tell the difference because I have a completely different vibration today. It's based off of what I'm going to share in the YouTube when you watch the replay. And so there's a lot going on in the chat today, which is really exciting. We've got Mladen online on the Zoom, and we're recording this, obviously. So it is really exciting what I picked up yesterday. I'm going to share it with you. You'll be able to listen to it, and hopefully you're going to be able to have the same kind of shift that's going to bring you a lot of positivity and happiness and joy and all of these different kinds of things. So it is really amazing. So make sure you watch the replay on that one. And now it's time for some reading, which I'm really excited about. Rich Dad Poor Dad, I still have it in Chinese. I've been doing my Chinese study using children's books, but that's not going to help me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad in Chinese, nor do most of you speak Chinese. So today we're going to have another chapter from The Art of Thinking Clearly, and it's so important to think clearly. And that video that I'm going to share with you on the YouTube replay is going to really assist you with that. So let's read the chapter, and then we can upload the video, and then you'll be able to watch the replay. And in the comments, I'll make sure that I add that YouTube video that I would like you to watch that really changed my life. So today we have a really interesting chapter, Stumped by a Sheet of Paper. I love it when there is it's a bit clickbaity, but it's a really great chapter title because it makes you so curious. What on earth is this chapter going to be about? I've been waiting all day yesterday to be able to find out what the chapter is going to be about. So this one's about exponential growth. So let's get into it. This is very exciting for today. A piece of paper is folded in two, then in half again, again and again. How thick will it be after 50 folds? Write down your guess before you continue reading. So I'm going to pause for a second, let everybody write down their guesses for how thick a piece of paper will be after you've folded it 50 times in half. So each time in half, so not like folding it in different ways, just half, 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 half. Okay, second task, we actually have two tasks. Choose between these options. A, over the next 30 days, I will give you $1,000 a day, or B, over the next 30 days, I will give you 1 cent on the first day, 2 cents on the second day, 4 cents on the third day, 8 cents. And so we're doubling, doubling, doubling. Don't think too long about it, A or B. So again, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to write down your answer, which one you prefer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, are you ready? Well, if we assume that a sheet of paper is approximately 0.004 inches thick, then its thickness after 50 folds is a little over 70 million miles. I don't know how much miles is, but 70 million is a lot of miles. This equals the distance between the Earth and the Sun. There we go, for all of the people that do not use the imperial system. That's for the metric people. Even though A sounds 70 million miles, this equals the distance between the Earth and the Sun, as you can easily check with a calculator. With the second question, it is worthwhile choosing option B, even though A sounds more tempting. Selecting A earns you 30,000 in 30 days. Choosing B gives you more than 10 million. Linear growth we understand intuitively. However, we have no sense of exponential or percentage growth. Why is this? Because we didn't need it before. Our ancestors' experiences were mostly of the linear variety. Whoever spent twice the time collecting berries earned double the amount. Whoever hunted 2 mammoths instead of 1 could eat for twice as long. In the Stone Age, people rarely came across exponential growth. Today, things are different. And this is something that Einstein called the 8th wonder of the world: compound interest, exponential growth, all of those different things combined. And we're getting some more love hearts, so we're going to say thank you for those. And yes, follow a couple of people here on Bigo Live, where we are live, which is also very exciting. Also live on Zoom, by the way. So we'll see if we can get more people to join on Zoom as well. Each year, the number of traffic accidents rises by 7%, warns a politician. Let's be honest, we don't intuitively understand what this means. It is similar to inflation. Most people don't understand what 3% inflation means. It's not linear, it's exponential. And when economic growth happens, it's the same thing. Rather than being linear, it's exponential, which means that the 3% growth of the economy is 3% on top of last year's 3%, which is on top of the year before's 3%, which is on top of the year before's 3%. It exponentially grows. The economy has to grow more and more and more all the time. It's not just 3% and then 3%. It's actually 3% on top of the 3% from last year, which is on top of the 3%. It just grows more and more. So let's use a trick and calculate the doubling time. Start with the magic number of 70 and divide it by the growth rate in percent. In this instance, 70 divided by 7 is 10 years. So what the politician is saying is the number of traffic accidents doubles every 10 years. Pretty alarming. However, traffic accidents are not actually that high. When you have a look at Sydney, for example, there's a very interesting case where they actually had a poster up and they said, oh, so many traffic accidents have happened just outside this train station, I remember. And the interesting thing was that the number of deaths looked quite high, but it had actually been 30 years worth of data of the number of people that had died. So I think they said that about 100 people had died, but this was over the last 30 years. So always be very aware of statistics as well. People will twist them and make you think that something is worse than it is if they know how to use statistics. So you may ask why the number 70. This has to do with a mathematical concept called logarithms. You can look it up in the notes section of the book, or you can look up and see if you can remember how logarithms work, which is something that you may have learned at high school. Another example, inflation is at 5%. Whoever hears this thinks that's not so bad. What's 5% anyway? Let's quickly calculate the doubling time. 70 divided by 5 is 14 years. In 14 years, $1 will be worth only half what it is today. So in the next, it will be a quarter, etc., etc. A catastrophe for anyone who has a savings account. Suppose you are a journalist and learn that the number of registered dogs in your city is rising by 10% a year. Which headline do you put on your article? Certainly not dog registrations increasing by 10%. No one will care. Instead, announce deluge of dogs, twice as many mutts in 7 years' time. Nothing that grows exponentially grows forever. Most politicians, economists, and journalists forget that. Such growth will eventually reach a limit, guaranteed. For example, the intestinal bacterium, Escherichia coli, yep, I got that one right, divides every 20 minutes. In just a few days, it could cover the whole planet, but since it consumes more oxygen and sugar than is available, its growth has a cutoff point. And so do economies and all sorts of other things. The ancient Persians were well aware that people struggled with percentage growth. Here's a local tale. There was once a wise courtier who presented the king with a chessboard. Moved by the gift, the king said to him, "Tell me, how can I thank you?" The courtier replied, "Your Highness, I want nothing more than for you to cover the chessboard with rice, putting 1 grain of rice on the first square, and then on every subsequent square twice the previous number of grains." The king was astonished. "It is such an honor to you, dear courtier, that you present such a modest request." Modest request? But how much rice is that? The king guessed about a sack. Only when his servants began the task, placing a grain on the first square, 2 on the second square, 4 on the third, and so on, did he realize that he would need more rice than was growing on earth. When it comes to growth rates, do not trust your intuitions. You don't have any, accept it. We haven't learned to do it because it's not part of our DNA. It's not something that we needed in the past. What really helps is a calculator, or with low growth rates, the magic number of 70. Okay, this one is quite interesting and important because, yes, as humans, we've only learned to deal with linear progressions, and we really struggle to understand the concept. And I think the most important one is economic growth. So let's say that we have economic growth of 100 this year. That means that next year it's 103, but the year after it's 103 multiplied by 1.03, and the year after that it's the new number multiplied by 1.03. And that's something that our brains really struggle to comprehend and understand. So if you have a look at some of these numbers, the curve obviously looks like this. It starts off and it grows a little bit, and then all of a sudden it starts shooting up and up and up. And it's similar to world population, for example. We struggle to understand the logarithmic progression, the growth factor of population, and how it's also exponential. So it's a very important thing to understand, and it's something that, yes, we might not use it in everyday life unless we are paying back loans and different things like this, but it's something that is good to understand and know that it's out there. And when politicians say, well, we need to keep growing, we have an economy that is based off of exponential growth, and not many people realize that. So that's probably the most important thing for us to understand. And when we are looking at how long it takes for something to grow, there's going to be a limit, because if we have a look at that bacteria that we were talking about, it would grow so fast that it would cover the entire earth. But in this case, obviously, there is a limit to that growth, and there's a limit to our economy, and there's a limit to the amount of inflation that we can create, and there's a limit to all of these different things. So the more we understand the lessons from this book, the better it is. So this one might be a little bit high up, but it's important to realize, and you can start doing a bit of study and thinking about it, and you will start to realize how the world works with regards to economic growth and those kinds of things. And so also with regards to economic growth, it also impacts the amount of resources. So we have huge amounts of resources, but at the same time, economic growth, if it's at 3% per year, it's exponential, which means that we need to extract more resources, produce more things, and use more of those resources every single year to sustain that economic growth. Okay, so that was a really interesting chapter. Tomorrow is chapter 35, Curb Your Enthusiasm. This one's called The Winner's Curse. So I'm looking forward to sharing that one with you tomorrow, reading for you again. And remember, if you go to the YouTube, the Passive Cashflow Club, there I'm going to share a link to a video that I watched yesterday that made a huge difference to what's been going on for me and the results that I've been getting. So I'm going to share that with you. And yeah, look forward to your comments on Bigger Live, in the Zoom live, obviously, as well. But also, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, leave a comment. I love discussion. I love being able to have a chat about these things. So this one, I'm keen to see whether anybody has any ideas that I haven't added into my commentary for today, and what you think of exponential growth and how you've perceived it, or how you might have been tricked by it or not realized how it functions in your life. So I'm keen to see the comments on the YouTube, and I will see you all tomorrow for another reading. I'm looking forward to it. Have an amazing day, and remember that the YouTube is going to have a video that has been instrumental in making a big change in my life, and I want to share that with you. So make sure you go and watch the YouTube replay so you can see that and watch that YouTube video that I'm going to post in the comments. See you all tomorrow. Have an absolutely amazing day today.